Hi guys, it's one and only maths teacher. Now on this session, we'll be basically dealing with sequences and series. Now as you can see here, they're saying consider the arithmetic series -1, -3/2, -2, minus up until we're having a -16. Now the first question basically they want us to do what? To determine the number of terms in the series. Now in order to determine the number of terms in the series, we're going to use the nth term of an arithmetic sequence, which is Tn. It's equals to what? It's equals to a plus into n minus 1d. Now what you're going to do from here, remember, we must start by finding the common difference, that is d. So our common difference d, it's given as what? As t2 minus t1. So remember that here we are having this being our term number 1 right here. This one is t2, that one is t3. So we're gonna say d, it's equals to now our t2. It's gonna be what? It's gonna be minus 3/2. So I'm gonna say minus 3/2 minus into, and then with regards to the first term, which is t1, then I'm gonna put what? -1. So therefore, the value of d is gonna be what? It's the same as you writing minus 3/2 plus 1, because negative times negative is positive. Therefore, the value of d is equals to, now we're gonna be calculating, right? So we're just gonna say minus 3/2 plus 1. So you're gonna get -1/2. So you write -1/2, which is -1/2. That represents the value of the common difference. Now the second step, you're gonna write Tn. It's equals to what? It's equals to, now a represents our first term, which is -1, plus into, since they want the number of terms, and we know that the number of terms is represented by a, I'm gonna write n minus 1 right here, and then our common difference there is -1/2. So you're gonna write open bracket -1/2. So the next step that I'm gonna basically do here is me now doing what? Substituting the value of Tn, because our Tn, remember, it represents the last term of the sequence, of which we are having it here being what? Being -16. So we're just gonna substitute that. -16 is equals to -1, right? Now for you not to make mistake here, we're having a positive sign. You can put the positive sign, and then let me show you what you need to do. Let's bring this -1/2 in the front, so it will be -1/2 right there, right, into what? Into n minus 1. Now we're gonna write -16. It's equals to, then here we're gonna have -1, right? And then now remember, this is positive times negative. There, we're gonna get the -1/2 into n minus 1. Now when you arrive here, you're gonna say -16. It's equals to, let's double check that. So that will be -1. Let me write it in full. -1, and then it's -1/2 into n minus 1. -1/2 into n minus 1. Let me simply double check that to check if I'm correct. So yes, we are correct. So with regards to that, you're gonna say -16, right? It's equals to, this will be -1. Now we're gonna multiply this -1/2 times n. It's gonna be what? It's gonna be -1/2 n, -1/2n, right? And then negative times negative is positive. 1/2 times 1 is 1/2. Now with regards to this, now I'm gonna write -16 here and take every number to the left hand side so that it can change the sign. So -1, when you transpose it, it will be +1, and then half, when you transpose it, it will be -1/2. It's equals to, so here we are having a -1/2n. I'm gonna show you what you need to do. Now with regards to that, you can say -16 plus 1 minus 1/2. What are you getting? You're getting -31/2, right? It's equals to negative. Remember, one thing that you need to understand is that -1/2n is the same as me writing negative n all over 2. Now when you arrive here and you want to solve for n, you can simply cross multiply, right? Or before you cross multiply again, n cancels n. Negative cancels negative, so to say. This negative cancels negative. Then you can now write this as 31 over 2. It's equals to n over 2. I'm just going to try to write this on the side, right? So remember, we're having 31 all over 2. It's equals to what? That's n over 2. Now from this, I'm going to cross multiply. 2 times n, it will be 2n. It's equals to. Then I'm going to multiply 31 times 2. That should give me 62. So you're going to write 62, and then you divide both sides by 2. Because math says what you do on the left hand side, you also do it on the right hand side, right? And then remember this, 2 cancels 2, and then you are left with what? You are simply left with n is equals to 62 all over 2. Therefore, the value of n is going to be equals to, now you're going to say 62 divided by 2. 62 divided by 2, then that's 31. So since this question, they said determine the number of terms in the series, you say therefore they are 31 terms in the series. So there are how many? There are actually 31 terms in the series. And then with that being said, now they want us to calculate the sum of the series. Now with regards to now us calculating the sum of the series, this is what we want to do. And now calculating the sum of the series. Calculating sum of the series. So now when you calculate the sum of the series, remember, let's write our series there. They gave us -1, and then -3 over 2, if you remember, and then -2, and then minus into -16. Now, this one here, -16, is going to represent what I call my what? My last term. Right? And then in this case, my last term is represented by what? It's going to be represented by L. Now I'm going to use the formula for the sum of the number of terms that has the last term. I know that sum of the number of terms formula that has the last term is Sn is equals to what? It's going to be equals to n over 2 raised into a plus what? Plus L. Because I'm now having the last term, right? And then if you check, I'm going to say S. Now remember, n represents the number of terms. And when you look at the first question, they said determine the number of terms of this series, of which I got 31. Right? So we're going to say S of 31 to say the sum of the 31 terms is equals to. This means that in a place of n, I'm going to put 31. So it will be 31 divided by 2 raised, and then A represents the what? The first term of the sequence, which in this case we are having -1. So I'm gonna say -1 plus into, and then L, it will be what? The last term there being -16. Right, brace. Then you're gonna write S31 is equals to. So here you can write 31 over 2 into -1. Positive times negative, it's gonna be what? It's gonna be -16. Right? Then S31, you can further write it as 31 over 2 into -1 minus 16, it's -17. And therefore, the sum of the 31st term of this arithmetic series is going to be what? Minus 527, 527, all over what? All over 2. So let me just double check the answer. So remember, we're having 31 into 2, and then also minus 17. So yes, our final answer is equals to what? It's equals to -527 all over 2. So this is basically how we should do what? How we should approach this question. This is basically what we should need to do if, for an example, you are given this kind of question in an exam. And one thing that is very important is that this question also takes into consideration at looking at our series that is given as negative signs there. So that's how basically we solve this question. So favorite maths teacher once